I can be. Shut it down.
Don't be so
Shut it down
all the time. Honestly,
You're not worth my time.
Oh, that sounded so bad. Hello, y'all. My name is Happy Back Legends, and welcome to Vlogoween. So this is going to be sort of an unorganized, just rant video, honestly. I just felt like talking about Edgar Allan Poe because for the past, few weeks, I've been spending, time here and there reading about his life and reading about some of the things that he's done, and, home dude? Is that a word? Home dude? Homeboy? I don't know why I said home dude. But homeboy was a fucking weirdo, and I think we should talk about it because he's a fucking freak. One of the biggest issues I had while trying to learn more about Edgar Allan Poe, and one thing that kind of was fascinating to me, was that history is written by people. People have prejudice, and people have interpretations. And I found that when trying to do research on some of his more, not so great attributes and aspects of who he was, historians and Edgar Allan Poe people and, writers and authors just seem to, downplay his nastiness. And that's, fucked up. I feel like you can openly acknowledge appreciating someone's art while also criticizing their actions as a human person. Edgar Allan Poe has done some really weird things. One thing about Edgar Allan Poe that I didn't even realize was that the man was alive during slavery. When we talk about Gothic horror, I always imagined it right after slavery, but no, the dude was literally he died before slaves were legally freed, I believe. That is no good. And the reason I bring that up is because he has a slight history of, I live in the ghetto. He has a slight history of, como se dice, racism, and it's just really odd. So I guess we're gonna dive into the racism thing first, because why not, you know? Stay hydrated on these hoes. Let me give some quick background on Edgar Allan Poe for those of y'all that maybe don't know who the dude is. Edgar Allan Poe is an American author, and he's sort of considered the godfather of American horror, American Gothic aesthetic, and he has a lot of controversy because he lived a really fucked up life. He was born, his dad abandoned him and his mom and his two other siblings. I believe that he was the middle child, because he had a sister and a brother. The dad left. The mom was a famous actress. She died of tuberculosis. It's believed that Edgar was in the room with her when she died, and that might have been the start of a lot of issues for him. He was then adopted by these two, patrons of the theater, people that were fans of his mother and people that knew his mother. And that is where his name Allan comes from, because before then, he was Edgar Poe. When he was taken in by these people, the Mr. Allan totally kind of treated Poe like trash and was not a fan of Poe, and he was kind of doing it just to save face and appear friendly, it seems like, honestly. And they never really got close. And then Edgar went off to college, but before he went off to college, he got engaged to some chick, and then he went off to college, and his adoptive father, Mr. Allan, really didn't help him out much. He didn't send him any money, at all. And then, eventually Edgar had to, leave college because he was a broke-ass bitch. And then, he went back home, found out that his betrothed was married to another. And, yeah, so his life is filled with tragedy. After that, he wanted to be the first writer to live off of his work. That didn't work out for him. The man died broke. In his lifetime, Edgar Allan Poe was pretty much considered a drunk fool. He wasn't considered such a literary genius. He was also a critic. He would critique people's work, and he was it's kind of a dick while he was doing it, honestly. That man knew how to throw some shade. So that's just some background on Edgar Allan Poe in case y'all don't know who he is. His famous work, of course, includes the poem Annabel Lee, The Telltale Heart, The Cask of Amontillado, The Raven. There's so many. Like, there's so many Edgar Allan Poe stories that I just love. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? My mother purchased this for me. It's his complete works of Edgar Allan Poe. And because I love Edgar Allan Poe. I love his work. I think he's an amazing author. But the man was kind of weird. So let's talk about this man's weirdness. So the Allens owned slaves. And I didn't... I don't know why I said it like that. Like, that was just, I feel like, not the right way to, like, drop that fact. But when I was doing research on Edgar Allan Poe, and because you know what happened? When I realized that this man was from the South and was, like, alive during slavery, my Negro meter went off. And I was like, So I looked up Edgar Allan Poe racism, like, immediately. And I found out that the Allens owned slaves. And apparently Poe, like, freed a slave, too. And he sold it to a black family. And this historian was trying to, like, praise Edgar for doing that. And I was like, if Edgar was really woke, he would have just freed the man for free. But maybe that was, like, too woke brain for the times. Like, maybe that was just unheard of. But he made money off of a black body. I don't see that as him being this kind, caring man for the black community. Like we can just admit that the man was racist because of his comeuppance and the time and era and existence that he, you know, existed and lived in. We can just admit that and move on. I don't get that. I don't get why we try to, like, bimbify people in history. Like, whenever you mention the founding fathers, like, sins to people, they lose their shit. Thomas Jefferson owned slaves. Oh no, now all of a sudden I'm disrespecting America. Bitch, no I'm not. Like, these are just human people, and human people do shitty things. That's fine. It's almost like this weird, like, historical stan culture. This exists in, like, academics and just in literature and history, and I hate it. I hate that shit because it's like, let's be objective here. Edgar Allan Poe wasn't some Black Lives Matter activist. The dude, his family owned slaves, his adoptive families, so he kind of, like, was, I mean, he technically didn't own them, but I believe when Allan died, they became his property or something like that, and that's when he apparently freed this black slave. However, in one of his stories, he has this character called, I believe the character's name is Old Jupiter or Jupiter, and he's described as a Negro, and Jupiter is literally the most dumb, coon, Tom, bitch ass, coon, Uncle Tom, coon mess. It's so embarrassing.
Well, Jupe, said I, what is the matter now? How's your master? Why, to speak the truth, massa, him not so very well as might be. Now, well, I am truly sorry to hear it. What does he complain of? Dar, that's it. Him never plain, nothing. But him very sick for all that. Very sick, Jupiter. Why didn't you say so at once? Is he confined to bed? No, dat he ain't. He ain't fine nowhere. That's just where the shoe pinch. My mind just got to be bury him about poor Massa Will.
And, like, Jupiter is this slave that is freed but doesn't want to leave his massa and feels that it's his God-given right to serve his massa. And it's like, yo, this is, like, como se dice, embarrassing. Edgar Allan Poe later did call the book silly. He said it was a silly book. I mean, if racism tickles your belly, Mr. Poe man, then ha 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 ha. But I didn't find it so silly like you did. I found it honestly sad. I don't know. 2020, kill your idols. I'm keeping this. I'm not getting rid of this. This is like, I can't believe my mom purchased this for me. This is all of his work, like in one bitch ass thing. I mean, how many pages is this fucking shit? Dear God. This has as many pages as Roots by Alex Haley does. Anyways. The other thing, my biggest issue with Poe, honestly, is like, when it comes to his relationships, like, he's just a disgusting little man. To be fair. It's a reason, it's not an excuse. His upbringing was fucked up. Like, his dad left. His mom died at a very young age. He was then split up from his brothers and sisters. Like, that's really fucked up. And then he's raised by this man that doesn't give a shit about him. Like, it doesn't surprise me that he turned out the way that he did, but he still turned out a complete kind of garbage person. And I think, like, it's totally fine for us to be like, yeah, he's kind of a slime ball, like a greasy little slime ball man. Like, nasty dude. Gross man. So people know that Edgar Allan Poe married his cousin. I feel like that's a common little fact that most of us know about. But what you might not have known about was that she was also 13. So incest and pedophilia, because I believe at the time Edgar Allan Poe was 26 or 27. And here's another issue I have. A lot of historians, a lot of these literary, like, people that get horny for history, a lot of these people were like, this was normal for the time. Okay, then why did they lie about her age? Why did they lie about her age? I don't know. That's not normal to me. That's fucking disgusting. Also, like, just because it was normal for the time doesn't mean that now, like, we're allowed to be like, yeah, that was gross, and thank God we've advanced. Thank God we've made strides towards future, towards modernity or whatever. So he marries his 13. Oh my God. I am 21 right now. The idea of being married is absolutely atrocious. The idea of being married to a 13-year-old? Bitch, go watch Disney Junior. What? That is so disgusting. Like, that is literally so nasty. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. Freak. Sexual deviant. Nasty. Pedophile. And it was funny because historians were like, well, we don't know that Edgar was a pedophile, as his marrying his cousin was the only sign of his pedophilia. How do you know that? Were you there in the 1800s following this dude around town? Were you there? Do you know? No. If he's gonna marry his 13-year-old cousin, the idea of him fucking another 13-year-old isn't that far removed. I don't know. And he also, like, was a chronic cheater. Probably gave all of his lovers some sort of syphilis, dysentery mess. Poor, poor ladies. I don't know. He's a weirdo, and it was just fascinating. Like, I learned a lot while I was trying to make this video, because at first I was gonna make this like a really well researched, like, I was gonna make like a PowerPoint for myself and like give all these details, and it was gonna be much more educational. But then I was like, you know what? Fuck it, because while I was doing research, I found myself not being able to trust the sources, not being able to trust the narrator, because they were constantly like downplaying his weird acts, his weird behavior. And that is like gross. Look, I love this man's work. I think his work is amazing. I can't believe that something written from this time period can be so captivating. His tone and diction and the way he writes makes you just follow each and every word, and just, when I get really into reading, I am always amazed at how my eye just goes immediately from the last word on the paragraph to the next word in excitement, how fast, you know? And Edgar Allan Poe makes me feel that way. However, the man was a freak. He was a fucking weirdo. And I think it's perfectly fine for us to, you know, have artists and leaders from our past that we read about and that we study about and that we appreciate their time on earth, but that we don't downplay it. You feel me? Do you feel me? Facts. Pure facts. What do you guys think? Is there anything that I didn't mention about Edgar Allan Poe in this video? I think I mentioned it all. He was pretty much an alcoholic, slutty, racist pedophile. That's his brand. Not okay, but his work is amazing. This video is a fucking mess. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know down in the comments below what you thought. Anyways, y'all, I'm gonna get going. As always, a huge thank you to my patrons, a huge thank you to my YouTube members, a huge thank you to my subscribers, and thank you to you. Yes, you, even if you're not subscribed and you are just watching this video and this is your first time checking out my channel, it is still really appreciated. Yes. As always, y'all, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. And I will see you in the next one. Alrighty, y'all. Bye. I need to stop doing that because this is the second video I've filmed where I've opened my mouth like super wide to the side and said bye in a like disgusting tone. And it can't happen again. I must crush this habit. Bye.